What is up, everybody? I have done over 100 real money fantasy football drafts at Underdog Fantasy, and I want to show you a draft from the number 4 selection that's really interesting. We're going to jump into the draft. As always, take 2 seconds of your time, hit that like, subscribe button. It lets me know to keep making these videos for y'all. And with that being said, let's jump into our draft at the number 4 pick. Okay, now here is our draft at the number 4 selection. This draft is on Underdog Fantasy. It's Ball Mania, $25 to get in, $10 million in prizes, $2 million to first, $1 million to second, and downward from there. If you do want to get into these drafts and you'd like to, have a little action as we're getting into the season here, go ahead, hit the link in the description. They'll double your deposit. If you deposit $10, they'll give you $20 to play with. If you deposit $100, they'll give you $200 to play with. They will double your deposit up to $100. Underdog Fantasy, link is in the description. Let's get off with this draft here. Cooper Kupp at number 1. And then right away it gets interesting as John Wick's baby takes this thing off the rails. Second overall pick, they go Davante Adams. Davante Adams is almost exclusively a player you see go at the end of the first round. John Wick's baby here, not afraid to pull the trigger. He takes Davante Adams at number 2. After those first 2 selections, you kind of see the draft, get more normalized here. Jonathan Taylor at 3. We go with Christian McCaffrey at 4. I'd take Christian McCaffrey here just because I know there's injury concerns from the last 2 previous seasons, the trips on an IR, just not being on the field producing. However, with a player like Christian McCaffrey, if he plays the whole season or anywhere close to it, 15, 14 games, there's not going to be a player with his upside. We're shooting for big money here. We're going to take Christian McCaffrey in the first round. I don't think there's another player in the draft with his type of ceiling. After that, we have Justin Jeffrey, Jamar Chase, Austin Eckler, Stephon Diggs, and then running backs 9 through 12 to round out the first. Mike Evans at the 1-2 turn. Mike Evans, the 6th wide receiver off the board. I have him 7 in my rankings. I agree there. Travis Kelce at pick 14, 16 Joe Mixon, and then CeeDee Lamb at 16. Now, CeeDee Lamb is a guy that you're seeing moving up draft boards. He's in a lot of these drafts, he's kind of getting in the end of the first round, beginning of the second, so that's pretty normal here for CeeDee Lamb. Aaron Jones, Deebo Samuel. I'm on the clock here at 21. Now, I take Tyreek Hill here. I do have him ranked out as my 11th ranked receiver right here, but I take Tyreek Hill with the upside. This is Ball Mania. With those big spike weeks, I don't need to pick when he's going to have those spike weeks. I just need to have Tyreek Hill in my lineup, and hopefully we get the production on an elite ceiling to match up with a Christian McCaffrey through the first 2 rounds. And after we take Tyreek Hill at 21, we see the player selecting at the number 2 position go Josh Allen, 23 overall. John Wick's baby throwing all sorts of wrenches into this draft already. You never see Josh Allen go in the second round unless you have someone reaching who took Stephon Diggs in the first round. They want to reach, get Josh Allen, get that correlation with Buffalo, and build a wide receiver quarterback stack. Then Nick Chubb, Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne moved up this draft board. You generally see Etienne go at the end of the 30s, beginning of the 40s. It did just come out that his teammate James Robinson will not be placed on the PUP list, the player unable to perform list. So we'll see how that affects Travis Etienne's draft position going forward. I still like him as a player this year. He seems to be like a DeAndre Swift to me. 2 great pass-catching running backs, both explosive, both playing on bad offenses. Just DeAndre Swift, you have to pay a first-round pick for, and Travis Etienne, even though coming off the injury, you can still get in the 3rd or 4th round. And then once again, the player picking at the 202 goes Lamar Jackson. I understand the argument for taking 2 elite quarterbacks in the top, but I'll never do it myself. I mean, I understand now you're kind of securing yourself a quarterback 1 every week. I can't do it. The amount of capital and equity you're sticking into a 2nd and 3rd round pick, you have to allocate that through your roster. It can't be on 2 quarterbacks. They will only start 1 of each week. After Lamar pick, we go T. Higgins, then we're on the clock. Now, here I was kind of torn between 2 different positions, but I did end up taking running back, and I went with Leonard Fournette. I love Leonard Fournette coming into this year, playing with Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers, Tom Brady, a guy who threw the ball 719 times last year. You saw at the end of the year last year, Leonard Fournette, he was getting 6-7 targets a game. Once again, no Chris Godwin for the first, presumably 6 weeks coming back from that ACL injury. Give me Leonard Fournette, 3rd round pick, 28th overall. After our selection of Leonard Fournette in the 3rd round, we see the run on wide receivers happen. 8 of the next 10 selections are all wide receivers. A.J. Brown, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Michael Pittman, Cortland Sutton, DJ Moore, Marquise Hollywood Brown, and then DeAndre Johnson. Now, I would have taken Hollywood Brown over all of these receivers except for the two that play for the Los Angeles Chargers. I think Marquise Brown's going to have a huge year this year. He's moving into Arizona, leaving that run-first offense in Baltimore, going to the air raid offense, Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray. I expect a huge year for Hollywood Brown. After the receiver run, we see our third tight end go off the board, Kyle Pitts at 39. It's actually a great selection for Kyle Pitts. You usually see Kyle Pitts go somewhere in the third round. The person picking at the 10th selection got him at 39, so it's definitely some value, and certainly after Kyle Pitts' ADP, his average draft position. Moving on through the fourth round, I'm up at pick 45. I have two people in my mind here at this selection. I want either Jalen Waddle or Jerry Jeudy. However, my hand's kind of forced here. I can't go Jalen Waddle. I already bet on Tyreek Hill to be the primary guy in this offense when I took him at the number 21 pick in the second round. So give me Jerry Jeudy. I love Jerry Jeudy. I'm not sure there's anybody else, more excited about Jerry Jeudy in the fantasy football community than I am this year. I think he's going to have a career year with Russell Wilson throwing him the ball. One of those wide receivers heading into his third year. He was number one in target separation. That means getting away from your defender. He just didn't have a quarterback that was good enough to get him the ball. Insert someone special like Russell Wilson. I expect a huge year out of Jerry Jeudy. Give me Jerry Jeudy at 45, my fourth round pick. Moving on, George Kittle goes as the fifth and final elite-ish tight end off the board there to that number 2 team who's kind of gone off the rails here. Gabriel Davis, Brandon Cooks at the 4-5 turn for the number 1 selection. And then John Wilkes, baby, here we go. Number 2 again, DeAndre Hopkins at his selection. It's clear at this team at number 2, they're not playing for any position but first. They're going for it all. They're trying to hit a home run here with players and selections that are a little dicey to say the least. I'm up here now with my 5th round pick. Once again, 2 players on the mind for me here, Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert. Now, yes, I will concede I do think Justin Herbert outscores Patrick Mahomes this year. Justin Herbert, second in passing attempts last year, only behind Tom Brady. However, I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes here. If I had Austin Eckler in the first, or say a Keenan Allen or a Mike Williams in the third round, then yes, slam dunk selection would be Justin Herbert. But I want to build some correlation and chemistry with my team here, and by taking Patrick Mahomes, it gives me options later in the draft to pair him up, stack him with, say, a Sky Moore, a Marquez Valdes-Scantling, a Mecole Hardman, a Clyde Edwards-Helaire, different options to build this team around my quarterback in the Kansas City offense. Give me Patrick Mahomes in the 5th round. Beginning of the 6th round here, we have Russell Gage go. I love the Russell Gage selection. I mean, this is a player that really showed he could be a good starting caliber football player in Atlanta last year. Now he gets inserted into that Tampa Bay offense. Tom Brady throwing the rock all over the field. I love Russell Gage. And once again, everyone says presumed injury with Chris Godwin will miss the first 6 to possibly 8 weeks. Russell Gage in a great position to move forward here. I love that selection to open up the 6th round. We see the team picking at the 110 selection, taking Devontae Smith after Jalen Hurts. Once again, correlation. People want to stack players on the same team, particularly wide receivers or pass catchers, a running back type, with their quarterbacks. After that, we see David Montgomery, Kyler Murray, Drake London, Dalton Schultz. Then Tony Pollard goes here at 68. Really interesting for me here to see Tony Pollard go at 68. When you're taking Tony Pollard in the top 70 picks, to me, you're banking on either Ezekiel Elliott being injured or losing his starting role. I mean, you're taking Pollard over guys like Josh Jacobs, Antonio Gibson, Miles Sanders, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, guys that are presumed RB1s on their team for a backup. Doesn't make too much sense to me. I go ahead with my number 69 selection here. I need wide receivers. We're heading into the 6th round here. I only have 2 wide receivers. This is underdog fantasy format. You do have to start 3 wide receivers each week, and you have a flex spot. So I'm really thinking between 2 players here. Ramon St. Brown out of Detroit and Chris Godwin from Tampa Bay. Now, with this type of format with Underdog Fantasy, it is a tournament like I talked about earlier, weeks 15, 16, and 17. If you make it into the tournament, those are the 3 weeks that will propel you towards that grand prize, or will you be selected in sliding, where you finish the year with your points and how much money you do win. That's going to change me here to Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin coming back. Whether he comes back, hey, week 8, week 9, we're going to have Chris Godwin down the stretch. And if we do make it into those fantasy football playoffs, I want Chris Godwin there. Not a lot of teams will probably have a Chris Godwin in the playoffs just because he's going to miss a big portion to begin the season, and it's going to be harder to advance to the playoffs. So I'll take Chris Godwin and hope the rest of my team can get us there and hold things over until Chris Godwin's back on the field. Directly after the Chris Godwin selection, we see Josh Jacobs go, Cordell Patterson, Joe Burrow, Elijah Moore, Michael Thomas, Ramon St. Brown. Now I'm on the clock here in the 7th round, and it's between two players again for me here. I want to take Brandon Ayuk. I think the 49ers offense is going to grow a lot this year with Trey Lance. I know he's going to soak up a lot of those red zone looks, rushing the ball in with his feet, but I think he can create a lot of downfield plays, big plays with his arm. I don't pull the trigger on Brandon Ayuk. I go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We have Patrick Mahomes to start to build some chemistry and correlation with the Kansas City offense. I pass on Ayuk here. I do desperately need wide receivers. We'll see how the rest of the draft board ends up falling to us, but I take Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 76. And then as we get to the end of the 7th round here, we see a run on quarterbacks. As 5 of the next 9 players to go are all QBs. We see the player at the 112 take Tom Brady, get that stack with Russell Gage. Russell Wilson goes Dak, Trey Lance. The team that actually took Trey Lance has 2 stacks. They have the Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler stack, but they also went out and took Deebo Samuel in the 2nd round, so they have some correlation there with Trey Lance. I'm on the board here, and I'm so happy at 93 that I get Christian Kirk. This is GTFP, Grand Theft Fantasy Player, okay? I got Christian Kirk way behind his ADP here. I love Christian Kirk. Listen, I think Christian Kirk can be a top 20 fantasy wide receiver this year. Now, hear me out. He was wide receiver 26 last year, playing at Arizona. Remember, DeAndre Hopkins played a lot of that year. They were moving the ball around, mixing it up. He's going to be the number 1 de facto wide receiver in Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence threw the ball 602 times last year. I think there's plenty of opportunity for Christian Kirk to have a real big year. Give me Christian Kirk, 93, my 4th wide receiver on the team in the 8th round. So now our 9th round selection is pick 100. I really wanted that rookie wide receiver Sky Moore to fall to us from Kansas City. It doesn't happen. He ends up going 1 pick before us at 99. So we'll take Marquez Valdez-Scantling, MVS. Had a lot of big plays in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. I expect him to stretch the field in Kansas City. No more Tyreek Hill there. He did sign a bigger deal. His deal is worth much more than a Juju Smith-Schuster's is, who is going way before MVS in these drafts. Give me MVS, 9th round pick, wide receiver. And to close out the 9th round, we have players like Tyler Lockett, Aaron Rodgers, Kareem Hunt, Robert Woods, Treylon Burks all going to start the 10th. Chase Edmonds, Melvin Gordon, James Cook. I think James Cook could be a real league winner this year at the latter half of the year after he's more accumulated with this offense. We see Buffalo running a lot of 2 tight end sets and James Cook coming into the slot position in practice. It's probably a player you guys want to look out for in your home leagues. Maybe later in the draft you can steal James Cook. As far as me, I'm up here in the 10th round at pick 117. I really wanted Tyler Boyd to fall to me here. It didn't happen. I need 2 quarterbacks on my team anyway. I wasn't super happy about the wide receivers available to me. I was thinking Tim Patrick, but I already made the adjustment for a Jerry Jeudy on the team, so I'm expecting him to break out and dominate the target share in Denver. So I take Tua Tagovailoa. I have Tyreek Hill. It's kind of correlated here. Hopefully Tua has a great year. He has all the weapons around him. There's really no excuse going into his 3rd year. I take Tua Tagovailoa at pick 117, 10th round. After that, we see Kirk Cousins go Trevor Lawrence, back-to-back rookie running backs to start the 11th round. I'm on the clock here, 11th round, 124. I kind of panicked, to be honest with you. I went Dawson Knox. I didn't have a tight end. Looking at some of the wide receivers that were on the board in this range, I could have done better. I could have went with a Chase Claypool. Even somebody in Joshua Palmer that I really like later on in the draft. But regardless, I do take Dawson Knox. Hopefully he has somewhat of that same red zone target share that he did last year where he had all those touchdowns. But hey, he does play in a great offense, Buffalo. At pick 124, you can't really be complaining too much. Give me Dawson Knox, starting tight end for the Buffalo Bills at my 11th round selection. And to close out the 11th round here, we see Justin Fields off the board, Michael Gallup, who similar to a Chris Godwin will miss the first part of the year, Jarvis Landry, Big Bob Tunyon. 12th round, I'm up here at pick 141. I was going to see if maybe I could get a Nyheim Hines falling to me. That didn't happen. So, hey, I end up going Mecole Hardman. Some more correlation with Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City. Now, believe it or not, Mecole Hardman is the only wide receiver for Kansas City on the roster I'd see ever caught a pass from Patrick Mahomes. So, let's get Hardman in there. I believe he's heading to his 4th year. Let's see something from him. 12th round pick from Hardman with the correlation with Kansas City. Could have been a lot worse. Moving on, we see Jalen Tolbert, Curtis Samuel, Corey Davis, Jacoby Myers off the field, and then I'm back on the clock in the 13th round. I go Hunter Henry here. Mac Jones really seemed to go his way a lot, especially with the latter half of the season, the last 8 weeks. Hunter Henry, a big signing out there. Now, I know they had Jonnu Smith last year from tight ends. Both these guys are $50 million tight ends. However, Hunter Henry was the guy that emerged from the tight end room and seems to have a great rapport with Mac Jones heading into his second year now at quarterback. I'll take Hunter Henry at pick 148. To round out the 13th round, later on we have Jameis Winston go, Jonathan Dotson, rookie wide receiver for Washington, Matt Ryan at quarterback. Beginning of the 14th, KJ Hamler goes, Joshua Palmer goes. Those are 2 wide receivers that I really like this year. If you can take a flyer on those guys later in your drafts, your home leagues, or even, best ball formats like this, I really like KJ Hamler and Joshua Palmer. I'm on the clock here at pick 159. I need more wide receivers. I'm not super excited with the guys that are on the board here, so I do take DJ Chark. I think DJ Chark's getting a little bit disrespected in his ADP here. Yes, he was hurt, but he has shown us that he can excel and be a wide receiver number 1 that season he had in Jacksonville. He goes to Detroit. They're paying him a 1-year, $10 million contract. He's going to go out there. He's going to compete for targets with DeAndre Swift, with TJ Hockenson, with Ramon St. Brown. And they did draft Jameis Wilson, but he's going to miss the first half once again, ACL injury. I like DJ Chark here in the 14th round. I think you could do a lot worse. He's going to add to my wide receiver room. Now, in the 15th round here, pick 172, I got to add more running backs to my roster. I only have 3 RBs on the roster right now. Christian McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I had to add somebody, so I go Khalil Herbert at pick 172 here. If anything were to happen to a David Montgomery, he's going to slot right into a starting role, and I feel like he also could, showed a lot last year. Maybe they're going to get him involved now a little bit more. It is a new coaching staff in Chicago with Matt Nagy gone. You could see more exposure to Khalil Herbert this year for the Bears. I'll take Herbert in the 15th round. Closing out round 15, you have a couple tight ends and running backs goes. Tyrion Davis-Price is a name to mention. David Njoku just signed a nice contract. To start round 16, we're going to get into the bottom of the barrel. There's 3 more rounds here. You can see it's on the screen. I'll round out the priorities for you. Deshaun Watson, we don't know what's going to happen with him, but at pick 187, the end of the 16th round, the guy at the 106 spot takes a flyer on him. I go ahead and I grab Cameron Brate here. I thought this was a pretty decent selection at pick 189. Rob Gronkowski's retired. The team did later on sign Kyle Rudolph, but I feel like Cameron Brate still has a role in this offense, a red zone target. He's going to be my 3rd tight end, so my tight end room will be Hunter Henry, Cameron Brate, and Dawson Knox. I feel like that's a decent tight end room for a 3 tight end build. Start the 17th round. I go ahead, I grab Mark Ingram. Now, I love taking Mark Ingram in these last 2 rounds. Let me tell you why. We know Alvin Kamara is probably going to miss the first 6 games, and especially for a team like mine who has Chris Godwin who's going to miss the first 6 games, maybe Mark Ingram can help fill that void until our injured star wide receiver comes right back. So I do recommend, if you are playing best ball, like these type of formats, or maybe even in your home league, if you do take someone like a Chris Godwin, a DeAndre Hopkins, a Michael Gallup, somebody that for a fact is going to miss the first 6 games or 8 games of the season, go out there and get yourself some Mark Ingram with your last pick, second to last pick. He's probably going to be the RB1 while Alvin Kamara's out. There is an option. It could be Tony Jones or someone else on the Saints. I like to think it would still be Mark Ingram. I would recommend anybody to do that as a last pick in your draft. And then to round things out, pick 213, I go Jalen Guyton. Listen, this is just a flyer. Throw something at the wall. Hope it sticks. This guy is a playmaker. He plays special teams. He is very fast. Get him in there some go routes with Justin Herbert. I think we can, maybe spike into our lineup 1, maybe 2 weeks of the year. There you go, guys. That's a draft on Underdog from the number 4 selection. Now, once again, go ahead, hit that like, subscribe button. It costs you no money at all, and it lets me know to keep making these videos for you guys. If you want to jump into some of these real money fantasy football drafts, you don't have to do this one for the $10 million in prizes. They got drafts for $3, $5, $10, whatever you want. They also have 12-man leagues, 6-man leagues, 10-man leagues if you didn't want to do a tournament style. If you do want to jump in on the fun at Underdog, once again, the link in the description will get you a deposit match up to $100. You deposit 10, they'll give you 20, 50, they'll give you 100. You get the idea. This was Burgundy Bets. Glad to see y'all again. Hey, I got those wide receiver ranking videos out, 1 through 12, 13 through 24. Once the 13 through 24 hits 10 likes, I'll drop the next 12 wide receivers in the rankings. I love y'all. Show me some support. Let me know to keep doing this. I appreciate you. Get out there, win your fantasy leagues, and I hope this draft helped. Picking at number 4. Hey, this might be the one that wins $2 million. We'll see though, right? I love y'all. I appreciate it. See you on the next one.